Well, it's finally here, the point in which you're going to have to decide which side of the fence you sit on. Do you support Terra Rebels? Do you support the Layer 1 Task Force? We always knew this point would come. What am I talking about? Well, we're going to get into the latest proposal from Edward Kin, in particular around code changes and upgrades to our network, and why it's going to be incredibly important to decide which validators you are staking with. And we're going to take a look at the global market, what's going on with the price, and what can we expect from Lunar Classic over the course of the next couple of days. That being said, make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with everything going on in the markets. Also, do me a favor, hit the like button. Does support the channel, pushes the videos up, really make sure that we are getting the noise out. And if you haven't, like I said, subscribe. Over 50% of you guys that watch these videos don't subscribe to the channel, so do me a favor, you know, to turn the notification bell on, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. So let's look at the market. A slight cooling off on the global market, down 0.46%. Nothing major. We did rally on the back of our FOMC meeting, albeit it was a bit hawkish. Did kind of come back. 13.6 24-hour volume for Bitcoin. 16.8 is the current price. Looks like we might tip into a green very shortly on the 24-hour, just 0.17%. ETH back above 12.50, albeit by just 87 cents. And as we come down the market, it's a pretty split bag, really. We see something like XRP down 2.5%, but then we see Cardano up 0.6. Charles Hoskins really starting to make some noise, particularly around that project. A DeFi looking pretty rough at the minute. SHIB doing a little bit, as well as a couple of other coins starting to do a little bit of work. Hex is kind of coming back. But as we move down the list, you'll see back down here the number 40th highest ranked cryptocurrency out there right now, Terra Lunar Classic, is up on the week 1.88%. As we go in, we can see volume $93.9 million on the 24-hour is down significantly by nearly 30%, and down 3.48% on the price, 15.25. Why is that? Why are we down? Well, we broke through a couple of key level of support. You see here on the daily chart, we broke past that 15,390 that we've had marked on here for a number of times. But RSI, importantly, is trending in the middle. Money flow slightly coming out as we see the market cool off. You can see a lot of red across a number of different coins on the back of the pumps yesterday. Now, what am I talking about when I talk about which side of the fence are you on? Well, ultimately, we're going to come over here. This is a newest proposal from Edward Kin. If you don't know, Edward Kin, obviously part of the Layer 1 Task Force, the newly created Layer 1 developers and blockchain experts that fundamentally, and I think it's the right word to use here, are in direct competition with Terra Rebels. Now, what is this article about? What is this proposal about? And like I said, we always knew it was coming. So let me try and break it down and context it a little bit. So Terraform Labs were the original developers of the blockchain and used GitHub repository as the canonical repository for Lunar blockchain. After the DPEG event in May, the Terra Classic repo was created but not actively maintained. Thus, any code changes by active developers in the ecosystem were subject to the approval of a centralized entity whose focus had shifted to a different blockchain project until August 22. The Terra Money repository was still in authoritative repository. Okay, what does that mean? Let's break it down a little bit more. Ultimately, any code changes, 1.2% burn tax, 0.2% burn tax, 10% to the community pool, 50% to the community pool, were put through the community governance, and ultimately then code change was sent to TFL to implement onto the blockchain. If anything, it will like someone validating your own work and getting them to then make sure that it was right. What we saw though with proposal 4940 back, feels like an eternity ago, was the change to the canonical repository, ultimately in the hands of the Terra Rebels. Took it away from TFL and gave it to the Terra Rebels, allowed us to upgrade, it allowed us to change and implement parameter settings to ensure that we could change code without having to get it signed off or agreed by TFL. Now, that time has now changed again. For those of you that aren't keeping up to date with what's going on with Terra Lunar Classic, and you definitely should be subscribed if you're not, but we saw a 150k heist. I think that's the best way to describe it. Now, I don't think there was ill intentions from every member, but certainly when you've got, you know, Discord members paying it back, that definitely feels like them, you know, it wasn't kind of the right thing. Now, what we have now is the Layer 1 blockchain, and I think most people would say Edward Kin, Zaradar, and a number of the other people on that team are absolutely the ones we want developing the code. We've already funded 150k for Q1 to ensure that they deliver on what they've promised. Where are we at now? Well, they can't change the code. They need to be able to go in and change it, and ultimately they're having to give their homework to the Terra Rebels. So what is this proposal from Edward Kin? Well, ultimately we are going to do the same sort of thing as 4940 did, but take it away from anyone's hands, become decentralized in its absolute necessity. And it says, at the time we're facing similar situation, the Terra Classic Layer 1 developers are working on a blockchain yet don't have access to the current canonical repository. We are proposing that there will be no canonical repository for Terra Classic, thus there is no one centralized entity or developer group that has default control over the code base. Guardianship of what code runs on the blockchain is solely in the hands of the active validator set. And I think it's incredibly important. Our validators ultimately maintain the blockchain. They vote and show our consensus in terms of what we want to do. So why wouldn't we want to put proposals to them, put code changes, software upgrades, blockchain enhancements to those, and they decide to adopt it, vote against it, or what? And I think that's absolutely the right thing. And it probably will speed up our development process even quicker. You have to be mindful though, depending on where you stake, depends on that voting power that they have. So always double check who you are putting it with. Now, I'm not going to profess to understand all the code. It's absolutely not my thing, but you can see here some of the adjustments that could be made, some of the adjustments that went through around the release A6F1A39, as well as a number of outline changes and hash rates. Below is an example of changes that one would show the beginning of that coding part. And it goes on to talk about a number of other things around validators, decentralized applications, projects, centralized exchanges. They would all have to increase an infrastructure and make sure they're all aligned to it. What does it mean in the end? Well, by voting yes, you're basically saying, yes, I'm happy for it to go to the validator sets. I don't think any one entity should be the governor of our code and our blockchain. If you vote in no, then ultimately it's going to stay with the Terra rebels. That's the reality of it. So layer one or no one, or Terra rebels holding the keys to it all. What's the community vibe on here? Well, for me, a lot of people saying yes, a lot of people still with questions. And I think the right thing, everyone's consensus right now is actually there just seems to be proposal after proposal after proposal. But I think a lot of people are certainly in the world that this is the right thing to do. People definitely kind of getting behind this layer one task force team. We've seen them incredibly quick out of the blocks in terms of what they're developing and ultimately what they want to bring. Lots of potential, lots of ambition, and certainly feels like they are starting to make a difference. What we want to see is a slight movement in the price. I think it's good. The key bit here though is we have managed to maintain this kind of 15.2 level. Obviously we were trending down here in the 12s before this nice run up. We didn't come all the way down, so we want to see this. Maybe I want it to get back into the kind of 15.4 range, break that level of support, and we'll see kind of how we did. We've just got into a new day here over in the UK, so we'll see how this mints in terms of a green or red candle for the day. But I think a positive move in the right direction, some sentiment in the good sense. Could see Terra Lunar Classic start to move. I think as we start to see development out, consensus become more decentralized, then we could absolutely see some pretty rapid installations of code changes and upgrades to the ecosystem. So I'm pretty excited to see what comes of that. With that being said though, let me know in the comments down below, do you vote yes on this proposal or do you vote no? I'm dead interested to know what you think. And as ever, if you haven't subscribed, do so. We're on our way up to 14,000 subscribers. Absolutely crazy. We want to break 20k by the summer. So do me a favor, click the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, join us on our live stream every night, 9 p.m. GMT, 4 p.m. Eastern, if you're holding Lunar Classic and you are bullish on crypto. As ever, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate all the support and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.